All right, I'm here with Titans general manager Mike Borgonzi. We just spent a lot of time outside kind of watching practice, and I guess my first question is always, what does a GM do in camp day to day? Like, do you feel like the hay's in the barn and now you're observing, or what's your kind of day to day out here?
Yeah, I mean, we're still evaluating the roster right now, but right now I've been watching preseason film here for the last 2 weeks, just kind of buried in that, just watching every team, every player. Compare them to what we have on the roster right now.
Yeah.
You kind of do the mock 53s, what your practice squad's going to look like. And then it's just, a whole pro department's watching all these teams right now. So it's a lot of tape work right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you consider the dog days of being a GM? Like what part of the calendar?
The dog day, I mean, it's probably right before the draft,
Right before the draft,
that
sure.
draft time.
Yeah.
That's, I always say, like, in personnel, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the whole year. And then you get through the regular season, hopefully you get in the playoffs, but it's right into free agency, college all-star games,
right.
Draft, and then, cycle starts over right after the draft. So
yeah.
It's fun, though. I wouldn't want to do anything else, I'll tell you that.
So for the people listening, he doesn't have a Nashville accent. He's actually from a town over from my pops.
Yeah.
In Mass. So we were talking about Foxborough and that sort of stuff. He's got a history in Kansas City. We'll get to that in a minute. But I'm really, I get interested with, when you're doing joint practices, as you've been for the past like 10 days, y'all are on the road doing that. I'm sure that's really helpful for you. It's helpful for the players. They get different looks, that sort of thing. What do you as a GM want to get out of that?
Well, you want to see you get into the dog days of camp and you're going against each other all the time, and you go there to do the joint practices. The competition picks up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You want to see them versus different people, and then you also get a chance to evaluate the other team too.
Yeah.
I mean, where they're doing that as well. But we really Andy didn't do it in Kansas City, the joint practices. So really, I think I had one before that. I think it was 2010 when Todd Haley was there.
Yeah.
We did one with Arizona. But this was like the first time I've actually been through the joint practices on the road. So I thought it was great, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was Andy's thinking? He was like,
I think Andy just kind of wanted to get his work in. He didn't really want anything to really disrupt the practice, what he was doing. So I think that was his approach.
Yeah.
And Andy's been doing it for so long, and I think it's worked for him, obviously. So
absolutely. What's the dance leading up to a preseason game when it comes to and one of the hardest things about being in the media, and I'm sure certainly your job, is sometimes not knowing how long they're going to play their ones, or when the twos are going to come in, and who our ones are going to be working against. Is that a conversation that you can kind of collaborate with the other coaches, especially in joint practice? Do you know what's coming, or is it always a surprise?
Yeah, no, I think Coach Callahan, it talked to those guys at the joint practices, knowing, like, is the first group going to go out? No. Atlanta, they had enough work with their first group. So, but for us, obviously with Cam, the rookie quarterback, and a lot of new pieces, I think the more repetitions in a game-like atmosphere, I mean, so it really depends on the team, I think, too. But especially for us, those reps are invaluable for a rookie quarterback as well. So
yeah, and I kind of wonder, like, at what point in camp for different positions you start to feel like you have a handle on the thing. I mean, like, you've been in this a long time.
Yeah.
Back in my day, when we had two-a-days and we had longer camps and that sort of thing, I feel like, you probably had, as a talent evaluator, a longer runway to figure out what you got.
Yeah.
Is there a point in camp now where you're like, all right, I know what I have? And does it vary positionally because they have different development rates?
Well, for me, I mean, this is my first time with this team in camp here, so of course you've watched them on film last year, but you want to see how they compete in practice. And so for me, it's been really the whole camp. Now, it's a little different when I was in Kansas City, where we had a lot of continuity.
Yeah. A
lot of the same guys back every year. Of course, we had the rookies and some free agents every once in a while. But, it is a little harder, though, now, just especially, with the less padded practices. We don't have the doubles anymore. But for me, it's like I'm evaluating this team, this roster, right up until the last cut for me. Yeah.
With the quarterback, Cam Ward, I mean, that's obviously – so much goes into making that decision. It's kind of like a franchise-altering thing one way or another. And so there's a lot of pressure on him in year one. And when you guys had Mahomes in Kansas City, he had the luxury of waiting a little bit, but Cam's going to play. What do you think the most important consideration is when it comes to being ready for week one with these young quarterbacks?
Well, I think you want to make sure you have the protection right. So,
Right.
in terms of the offensive line, I think we did that in free agency. Getting Dan Moore, was a proven guy for 4 years in Pittsburgh, and then moving JC to the right. We got Zeitler, who's 35 years old. And
Stud.
He's a stud. So protection number one, and then just for these guys coming out of college, it's just like, can they spit the play call out?
Yeah.
Can they get in the huddle, look these guys in the eyes, and have confidence that they know what they're doing?
Yeah.
And then all the different protection calls with these young quarterbacks. You want to make sure they're ready for that. And I think it's been great going against Denard's defense. Went to with Todd and Tampa, and then Raheem in Atlanta, seeing all these different pressure looks. So just making sure that they're ready for all that. And there's always going to be stuff that pops up that they're going to have to learn on the fly.
Yeah.
But you want to just make sure they have the mental part of the game down first, before they get in that huddle week one.
Talk about what you love about Cam Ward and his maturity and that sort of thing. But when you watch his tape before you get to know the person,
yeah,
what made you fall in love with the player?
Well, I think it was the arm talent. He certainly had that, the arm angles, and he had this great like spatial awareness too.
Yeah.
Throw guys open, and I would be careful to compare him to Pat, but
Yeah.
But some of the physical abilities, the arm strength, some of the spatial awareness stuff, really jumped out to me when I started to watch him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hadn't really met him because we were in the quarterback market in Kansas City here. So my first
that's an area you're a little rusty on.
We were good there. So
Yeah.
of course I watched him in the fall. I'd watch all these quarterbacks and was intrigued by him. And then when I got in here, I watched him. Went back, watched all his games in Miami, Washington State. He went back to Incarnate Word, watched those games as well. And then Callie did the same thing with his staff too.
Yeah.
And then we kind of got together before the combines, like, I think this is the guy,
Yeah.
but we haven't met him yet.
Mm-hmm.
So first opportunity was at the combine to meet him, and you can tell he's a confident kid, and he was smart. You can tell, he's had a lot of reps in college.
Right.
That's the thing.
With a rookie, say lineman or whatever, I remember being a high pick and being an edge player, and you walk in and you let the veterans lead. You try to figure your end of the bargain out.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're a quarterback, you have to lead. It's like, I don't care if you're 21 years old, you got to walk in and lead. What are the things that you've specifically seen from him out there on the grass that tell you he's ready to jump down some guy's shit or get somebody lined up?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it now, but I think the thing about Cam is he's got good awareness. So he knew that he had to come in and prove himself
Right.
first.
Yep.
Prove himself is the work ethic. He was there every day in the offseason at 5:30 in the morning with these guys. And then once he got in the huddle, these guys could tell that he's been putting in the work. He could line guys up. He knew the play calls. And then as we got through camp here, he started taking a lot of reps with the ones here. Then I think he began to, start to lead at that point. He's always had that in him, obviously, but I think he was smart enough to know that, listen, I got to prove myself to these guys, and I know what I'm doing here
Right.
first. And I think he's done a nice job with that.
Is there something that like you really want to ask a quarterback when you get into those pre-draft meetings? Like, is there like a non-football question that's like indicative of character or something like that, where you're trying to glean what type of person the quarterback is? Is there an avenue you go down?
Yeah, it's kind of the leadership part.
Yeah.
How do you get guys? How do you pull guys along? That's the biggest thing. And a lot of the times it's how they can create relationships with other guys on the team, not just the offensive side of the ball, it's the defensive side of the ball. And that was the thing that we learned with Cam, was that the guys loved them, both sides of the ball. And that's an important part. You can have all the physical tools in the world. If you can't lead at that position, it's hard.
Yep. Yeah. I hear he's like Jeffrey Simmons' fishing buddy.
I saw that on Instagram.
I was like,
wait,
so you're like, are they fishing next to the facility here? Or is that...
I'm not sure what that was.
But how important is it too to, like, you talk about the protection. I also think about like when you guys sign Lockett, in my mind, I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Not only can the guy play, find soft spots in zones, heady player, but like he's going to be a really positive influence.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Locke for a long time. I mean, we did a lot of work on him coming out of Kansas State, and just knowing the type of guy he is. And for us is, Lock knows that it's that second play sometimes. When in a lot of these quarterbacks now, it is a second play. They scramble and get open, and you saw Lockett doing that. He's done it throughout his whole career with Russell.
Yeah.
And he was still doing it last year on tape. So we thought that would be just a good calming, present, veteran type guy that he could have trust in.
And how about the rookies? You got DK and Iomenar.
Yeah.
Am I saying his name right, guys?
Iomenar.
Yeah. These rookies are getting harder and harder to, you know what I mean? So where's this to the Smiths of the world? But these guys, how are they looking in training camp? I mean, and what do you want to see out of a young wide receiver?
They look good so far. It's like any other rookie. They're learning every day. But I tell you what, this rookie class is the way they've come in and worked from day one in OTAs and prepared.
Yeah.
So it's like this. You want to see the guys like assignments. Like are they putting the work in?
Right.
Watching the tape, and that's what's been impressive to me about these guys. Even Garner Helm, our tight end.
Yep.
These guys are prepared, and the veterans take notice of that as well, as you know. So they continue to get better. But as we go along here, we're just looking for more growth with them. But they're going to be in the mix here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, the prospect of everybody growing up together.
Yeah.
That's got to really mean something.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even when, I know Kels had been in the league for a few years before Pat got there. But having guys like, Kels and Tyreek and that connection they had for years, that takes time, that type of rapport. And to bring these guys in together, same class, is exciting for that,
Yeah, no question. I mean, like if things work out, it's like you've got this 5-10 year run with guys.
Yeah.
It's exciting. You've got a number of guys from, obviously, you got your Jeffrey Simmons of the world, the Mississippi State machine down there.
Yeah.
And then you've got your small school guys, and one of them most notably who we talked about is one of my favorite players in the league, L'Jarius Sneed, who goes, Louisiana Tech. Yeah. You find him in the third round. You talked about how much Spags loved him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. And I kind of wonder, what are the considerations when you are scouting a guy at a smaller school as opposed to, like Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
He's just looking at the Georgia and Bama rosters.
Right.
I don't think he's doing anything else in Philly. He's like, oh, okay, these teams are good. I bet there's good players on these teams. What's your
picking the right ones?
Yeah. Well, he's picking enough of them. Even if one doesn't work out, he's like, oh, we're still pretty good.
Yeah.
What's the calculus for you when you're walking into a smaller school and looking at a guy?
It's the athletic traits.
Yeah.
Can these guys develop? Can they get, if it's an offensive, defensive lineman, can they get bigger?
Yeah.
If they're at, if we get them in the league, can we get them on a meal plan where they're, they're in every day,
right.
with a nutritionist, getting bigger, and it's really the traits that you look for. Like L'Jarius was long and fast,
right?
And he played corner, he played safety, and he was smart, and you saw the upside there with him. And a lot of those mid to late round picks, sometimes when you're going for those smaller schools, you're looking for traits.
Yeah.
We had Duvernay, offensive lineman there out of McGill at one time. We drafted him in the 5th round, I think. But you could see the traits. But
the doctor?
The doctor.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But you could see the traits with them coming out, and and it's developing. I mean, you draft the guys, you need to develop them, especially with those small school guys. There's so much more room to grow.
Yeah.
And if you have those physical traits, and you have good coaching, you can get those guys to reach the ceiling.
Yeah. So you kind of look at it a little bit more glass half full with the guys.
Yeah.
Because, hey, shoot, they could be eating 500 calories a day.
Yeah.
Messed up, strength and conditioning maybe set up. Like, you just never know.
Yeah. It's, and some of these schools have like GAs coaching the positions now, in certain schools. So, the coaching, all that. It's always nice to see them at an all-star game.
Yeah.
If there's Senior Bowl or East-West or like that, just to see them at just up a level of competition. But
yeah, you want to see them in the Senior Bowl or whatever. But Oladejo, we talked a little bit about, your edges and that sort of thing, and your defensive line is one of the strengths, in my opinion, of this team. And if you can get him to play well, man, like all bets are off. That's going to be fun. What do you look for in a young edge guy, and what do you think the biggest learning curve is for a rookie end? I feel like I know what I remember, but what do you see?
Yeah, it's a lot. Now they're facing NFL tackles here.
Yeah.
You can go some of these guys go, even the big colleges, they're facing a lesser tackle and might have 4 or 5 sacks versus them. And all of a sudden you see the stats there and they got, 12 at the end of the year. But now they're going against NFL tackles. And just like, learning that rush plan takes a while. And so like with a guy like Femi, who, 4th game of the year at UCLA, he was playing Mike linebacker and then they moved him to the edge. But what you saw out of Femi was, he's got 34-inch arms, big, strong, relentless, can play with power. So we knew right away, this guy's going to be able to set the edge. He's going to have some long arm power. But now it's just about, the more reps you get and studying tape against these tackles and learning all that and the hand usage. It's tough for these. I think it all starts with power, though. That's what I always look for. And some of these guys, now some guys have the freakish get off and bend.
It's so rare, though.
It's rare.
It's rare that somebody's going to win with that fastball.
Right.
It's like Von Miller. And even Von Miller, there's a lot of power in his game that comes off the speed.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm always looking for, can the guy win down the middle first?
Yes.
And then are they relentless?
Yeah.
And then can they improve their rush plan?
Yeah. What do you think the most valuable, like without giving the secret sauce away at the combine, which is always like something people talk about.
Yeah.
Like which drills mean a lot, which drills don't.
Yeah.
Like for defensive linemen, because I have opinions as well. What do you think the metrics are that are the most indicative of success at the combine?
For D linemen, it's a lot of the changes, the footwork too. You want to see, they have feet.
Yeah.
Footwork drills. The short shuttle we use with defensive linemen a lot. Even the vertical, and the broad, just seeing the power.
Yeah, I think broad jump's great. Yeah,
I think the broad jump is always a good one to go off.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can cheat that vertical sometimes.
Oh, yeah, I tried to cheat the vertical.
well,
Do you know about this?
With you?
Yeah. Do you know about this?
I don't know.
No, so I thought you were almost like, hey, I remember when you cheated the vertical. So in my year, you know how they measure you? They jam your arm against the wall.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's see how tall you are. So I measured without gloves, and then I had a glove with a little tissue paper at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then I threw the glove on.
Cheat the reach. Yeah.
And then they busted me right before I went to jump.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Long, where'd that glove come from? And I was like, kind of sheepishly took it off.
Yeah.
But still jumped 34, I think.
34.
So,
So is it really 32?
Well, yeah. But that's really like a 37, if you know what I mean, for me.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so but that to me, the broad jump's big, and then the 10-yard shot, the 10-yard burst, obviously.
It's really the 10 yards you're looking for, really.
Yeah.
And you're not looking at the 40 for these guys. It's the explosion, the 10
I'm glad
yards.
they're not, because I don't know if I would have been picked if they were looking at the damn 40.
You don't. It's really the 10.
I'm not running down a lot of screens on the other side of the field. So I'll be in the picture. So help me with one thing here, because I'm doing my AFC South previews. And, not having played in the back end, it's the position I'm learning the most about post-football career.
Yeah.
And so I always have to take a little more time on the corners.
Mm-hmm.
Help brother out. And what's your corner room look like? What's the situation look like right now? I think Snead
just came back
off
here
PUP.
today, PUP, so he's just starting back. And, we all know the player LJ is, so, hoping to get him back here at full strength. And then, Jarvis Brownlee was a kid they drafted here last year, and he's really taken a step.
Yeah.
And he's had a really nice camp here. He's playing on the outside. He can also play in the nickel. Baker, who they had here last year, tall, long corner with speed.
Yeah.
And then we drafted Marcus Harris, kid out of Cal, in the 6th. And Marcus got some versatility. He can play outside, can play inside. He's smart, heady. So, feel good about it. We hoping to get LJ back here full strength, and some of these young guys, I'm excited to see them, and they've been developing, which is a good thing.
When you say Brownlee made the jump, what specifically is he doing a better job of?
Just technique, really. Technique at the line of scrimmage, eye discipline a lot of the times for these young guys.
Yeah.
And, just the more reps he has at it. But really it's just more the technique and the eye discipline for me has really stood out for his growth this year that I've seen.
You spend a lot of time with Andy watching him build that program, and he's probably a little bit more involved than most head coaches, right? You're going to spend a lot of time with him talking about the roster and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing you learned about programmatic building in Kansas City? Is it just draft Patrick Mahomes? It's a lot more than that, isn't it?
We have, we're a playoff team there.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, I know.
Alex,
you guys turn Alex Smith. And Alex Smith, I got a lot of respect for Alex Smith.
Yeah, the best.
Great guy,
best.
Good quarterback, man. And also Andy had his just chapter in Philly. So it's not just Mahomes, but what is it about that program they built in Kansas City?
I think it's about, trying to get it's the culture that Andy builds there, where he's, it's a little bit different from places I've been. There's a level of respect for everybody in the organization, number one. He's demanding, but he's fair in that regard. He listens to everybody. And then getting the right type of people, not only the players, but the coaches, personnel staff, people in the building. Like he wouldn't tolerate people that weren't about the team.
Yeah.
And if you weren't about the team, you wouldn't be there very long, whether you're a player, coach, front office, person. So that's really the biggest thing I took for him, just like the attention to detail that he had for everything. And I remember I was a pro scout when I first came in, and I get into the room with the offensive staff, and I'm presenting, the weak opponent, for the advanced scouting. And I'm kind of nervous in there. It's, Andy Reid and, and, I'm giving him my evaluations of the players and the different schemes, and I see him writing stuff down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Fame coach, and he's listening to this young pro scout. Yeah. And that really hit home for me. Like, respect everybody in the organization. Everybody has a piece of it. Yeah. So it's all these little things. It's hard to describe culture, and you've been part of, 2 championship teams, and it's always a little bit different every place.
It's got a little different culture.
Yeah, a little different spin on it.
But they got a lot in common.
Lot in common. So it's at the end of the day, it's all about the team and what's best for the team.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I really took from Kansas City and working with Andy.
He said on our pod that he took a play from a janitor, so he was definitely listening to you. If he was taking plays from janitors.
It's unbelievable.
Well, Mike, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Good luck this year.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.